For the first time since the confrontation began, Blackwood's eyes moved. They locked onto Reynolds with the same focused intensity that had once tracked enemy movements across the mountains of Afghanistan. In that gaze, there was no anger, no hatred. It was something far more powerful, the weight of centuries of tradition, honor, and duty, focused like a laser on one foolish soul who had dared to test its limits. The guard captain, Harrison, finally broke the silence. His voice was calm, but it cut through the tension like a knife through butter. "Guard, stand down." The command, delivered with quiet authority, gave Blackwood permission to do something he hadn't done in 8 hours of duty: move. The motion was deliberate, precise, and somehow more intimidating than any sudden action could have been. Blackwood pivoted 45 degrees, came to attention, and saluted his superior with textbook precision. "Sir, permission to address the situation granted," he stated, his voice steady and unwavering. What happened next would be described by witnesses in countless ways. Some would call it a speech, others a lesson, and still others would describe it as one of the most powerful moments they had ever witnessed. But all would agree on one thing: they had never seen dignity quite like this. With a white-gloved hand, Blackwood slowly wiped the spittle from his cheek, his movements unhurried, almost ceremonial. Every gesture carried weight, every moment deliberate. When he spoke, his voice was clear, steady, and filled with the gravity of his years of service. 8 years ago, I took an oath," he began, his words clear and measured, carrying the weight of every soldier who had ever stood guard at these gates. "Not just to the crown, but to everything these gates represent: tradition, honor, sacrifice." His eyes locked onto Reynolds, who had suddenly lost all traces of his previous bravado. "While you were in that pub, working up the courage to come here and make a spectacle of yourself, I was standing guard over a history that stretches back centuries." The crowd, which had been tense with uncertainty, was now absolutely silent. Phones still recorded, but the weight of the moment rendered them almost irrelevant, their once eager owners now staring at Blackwood as if witnessing something far beyond what they had expected. Reynolds stood frozen, unable to respond, the enormity of Blackwood's words sinking in. For the first time, the guard's unwavering stance felt like the last word, an unspoken reminder of the true strength behind the uniform. The crowd had been witness to something far greater than a mere confrontation. They had witnessed the power of dignity, the strength of tradition, and the quiet force of honor. Reynolds's friends had fallen silent, their nervous shuffling coming to a halt. Even they seemed to understand that the moment had shifted. This was no longer about a prank, but something much more profound. Blackwood's voice rang out across the courtyard, clear and unwavering. "You see this uniform," he continued, his words carrying effortlessly through the growing tension. "Before I earned the right to wear it, I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. I've watched brothers in arms fall, defending the very values you mock. This isn't a costume, sir. It's a symbol of dedication that you clearly cannot comprehend." He turned slightly, addressing the broader crowd now, his voice gaining strength with each word. "Every day we stand here, not as statues, not as tourist attractions, but as living reminders of the discipline, honor, and sacrifice that built and preserved this nation. We endure the heat, the cold, the rain, and yes, even the occasional fool who mistakes our discipline for weakness." Reynolds, struggling to salvage what little dignity remained, opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, Captain Harrison's sharp glance silenced him instantly. 2 police officers had arrived and were standing by, but they too were captured by Blackwood's words. "You wanted to know if we're human?" Blackwood's voice softened, though it lost none of its power. "We are. We feel every insult, every joke, every attempt to break our composure. But we stand firm because that's what duty demands. Because some things in this world are bigger than personal comfort or ego. Some traditions deserve respect, even if you don't understand them." Blackwood turned back to Reynolds, whose posture had begun to crumble. The weight of the moment sinking in. You came here hoping to create a viral video, to get your moment of internet fame. Congratulations, sir. You've succeeded. But not in the way you intended. Instead of exposing weakness, you've demonstrated why we stand here day after day. Because there must always be those who stand firm against disrespect. Who maintain dignity in the face of ignorance. Who remind others that honor isn't just an old-fashioned word. The elderly RAF veteran in the crowd nodded slowly, tears visibly welling in his eyes. Parents drew their children closer, speaking in hushed tones, explaining the significance of what they were witnessing. I don't expect an apology. Blackwood concluded, his voice carrying the finality of a closing chapter. But I do hope that someday you'll understand what happened here. This isn't about you or me. It's about everything we guard here, not just the buildings and the people within them, but the principles they represent. With those words, Blackwood turned back to Captain Harrison, saluted once more, and resumed his position with the same precision that marked every movement of his military-trained body. The spittle on his cheek had long since dried under the harsh afternoon sun, leaving no visible mark, much like how Reynolds's attempt to leave a stain on the institution had only served to make it shine brighter. The police officers stepped forward now, their duty clear, but the real judgment had already been delivered, not through force or anger, but through a quiet display of character that would resonate long after the handcuffs clicked into place. The arrest itself felt almost anticlimactic after the weight of Blackwood's words. As the officers led Kevin Reynolds away, his designer sunglasses slipped from his collar, falling to the ground with a hollow clatter, forgotten, just like his dignity. His friends, those same young men who had been so eager to film his prank, could no longer meet anyone's eyes. They shuffled away, phones finally lowered, the excitement drained from their faces. Assaulting a Queen's Guard, one of the officers said, his voice carrying across the now hushed crowd. That's a serious offense, sir. You'll have plenty of time to reflect on Guard Blackwood's words while we process your case. As expected, the videos of the incident spread across social media like wildfire. But unlike the countless viral clips of tourist pranks, this one struck a different chord. Within hours, multiple angles of the incident had been uploaded, each capturing a unique perspective of the moment, but all telling the same story, not of a guard's composure breaking, but of dignity triumphing over disrespect. The hashtag #RespectTheGuard began trending on Twitter within the hour. Comments flooded in from across the world. This is what real strength looks like, standing firm in the face of disrespect. That speech should be played in schools. Tradition. Honor. Duty. Values we need more than ever. Watch how he maintains his dignity even after being spat on. That's true strength. Reynolds, for all his initial arrogance, had inadvertently done something far greater than what he had planned. His actions, in their folly, had given the world a rare glimpse of something powerful, the timeless strength of tradition, the unbreakable resolve of duty, and the quiet force of honor. And Blackwood, through his composed silence, had made sure that it would not be forgotten. Reynolds's identity didn't remain a secret for long. His Texas oil family's PR team scrambled frantically to contain the fallout. But by the time they'd started crafting their damage control strategy, the court of public opinion had already spoken. The very social media platforms he had hoped would praise his bravery for challenging authority quickly became a stage for his public humiliation. His LinkedIn profile, once a polished reflection of his family's wealth, was flooded with comments about respect, honor, and dignity, terms that suddenly seemed foreign to him. Several exclusive London clubs quietly removed his name from their guest lists, but perhaps the most powerful consequences weren't the legal charges or the public shaming. They were the conversations happening around dinner tables and in classrooms across the globe. Parents and teachers seized on the incident as an opportunity to discuss respect, duty, and the importance of understanding traditions that differ from our own. A group of schoolchildren who had witnessed the scene wrote heartfelt letters to Buckingham Palace. One 9-year-old's words captured the sentiment perfectly. Dear Guard Blackwood, today you taught us that being strong doesn't mean being mean. Sometimes the strongest thing is to be kind and respectful, even when others are not. In the days following the incident, tourism officials noticed a shift in the behavior of visitors to Buckingham Palace. Tourists still posed for photos with the guards, still smiled and waved, but now, there was a palpable undercurrent of respect. Parents could be overheard explaining to their children not just what the guards did, but why they did it. The superficial jokes about trying to make them laugh were replaced with genuine curiosity about the history and tradition they represented. Reynolds's legal case moved swiftly through the courts, but it was the judge's remarks during sentencing that would echo far beyond the courtroom. He said, "By assaulting Guard Blackwood, you didn't just attack an individual. You attacked the very principles of duty, honor, and respect that he represents. Your actions have served as a powerful reminder of why these values must be preserved and protected." The fine was hefty, but the requirement to perform community service at veterans organizations proved to be a far more humbling consequence. Reynolds would later admit that nothing in his life, no amount of wealth or privilege, had prepared him for the humbling experience of serving those who had truly earned their place in society by serving their country. As for Guard Blackwood's viral moment, it became a teaching tool across the globe. Military units and police forces from various countries adopted the footage into their training materials, not for Blackwood's unshakable stance against provocation, but for his dignified and measured response when the situation escalated. It became a case study in maintaining authority through character, not force. Blackwood, the epitome of restraint, had shown the world that true strength lies in standing firm, not in reacting. Through it all, Blackwood remained unchanged. The next day, he resumed his post with the same dedication, the same precision, and the same unwavering commitment to duty that he always had. But now, the eyes of the public, and of the tourists, reflected a deeper respect for the man who stood guard not just over a palace, but over the very principles it represented. What would you have done in Guard Blackwood's position? Could you have maintained such dignity in the face of relentless disrespect? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And here's something to think about: when was the last time you witnessed true strength? Strength shown through restraint rather than reaction. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like and share it with someone who appreciates stories of dignity, respect, and honor. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful tales of tradition, and hit that bell icon to never miss an upload. Remember, real strength isn't about breaking others down. It's about standing firm in your values, even when others try to break you. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit like and share it. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring videos. Thanks again and see you in the next one.